Despite recent good news about the recovery of our economy at the top of the food chain, our federal social safety net programs continue to catch more and more Americans. Enrollment in the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, or SNAP, has jumped 70% since 2008 to a record 47.8 million recipients as of the end of 2012. And congressional budget analysts expect participation to expand again next year. The rising poverty rate and the slack labor market are to blame as low-wage jobs outpace middle-income jobs 3-to-1. And many of those low-wage jobs are found in the retail sector. The nation's biggest retail employer, you guessed it, Wal Mart. It pays its average sales associate an estimated $15,576 a year. For a family of four, that is well below the poverty line of $22,050, making that employee eligible for food assistance. Food assistance that goes right back into the pockets of our corporations, because a 2010 report estimated that more than a third of all food stamps redeemed in the United States were used, you guessed it, at Walmart stores, adding up to 4.5% of the company's total sales. Even traditional welfare is corporate welfare. So, Greg, we pay the employees poverty wages. The social safety net gives them food stamps. The only place where they can then spend those food stamps is back at the place that paid them poverty wages, the Walmart welfare loop.
It's a good day to be a Walton in America, isn't it? I mean, and thank God we do have these food stamps, yeah. Because they kept 4 million people out of poverty in 2011, and for every $5 in food stamps expenses, there's $9 in economic activity. But obviously it goes back to the issue of where are the good jobs that are going to pay people enough to feed their families. You know, for the last year, I've been talking to janitors who work for some of the most expensive, richest corporations in America, who go home and they need food stamps, they need Medicaid, they need a second job, and then they read about in the newspapers how they're not spending enough time with their kids.
Right.
They're terrible.
They're bad parents. But so on the one hand, yes, I mean, what food assistance is doing is keeping people from starving, but it's also subsidizing Walmart.
And this is, you know, I think what corporations on the right have realized is the best defense is a good offense. So they're out here screaming about people on food stamps and entitlements when it's a subsidy to them.
Yes.
There's, you know, I don't know if your show's ready for this really radical idea.
Let's go.
But I think there's a direct relationship between what you pay people and how much they earn. And I think there's
wait. You're just blowing my mind. You mean if you pay people a fair wage, they will have earned a fair wage?
Yes,
Yeah.
and so what happens, the whole thing is like so wacko. You can call it Walmart, Target, B of A, whatever you want to call it. You impoverish your workers, then the state basically, we all subsidize them because you have to eat. That's still allowed. You have to eat. And then you whine away about free markets and say, isn't it terrible that the government is spending all this money on these poor people that you made poor? It really, I don't know if it's too far. It's sort of psychotic, pathological behavior, blaming the people you hurt while you are richer than at any point in human history. It's sort of wacko.
And it really is that part. Like, if in fact corporations were hurting, it would feel different. Like, if it was look, the times are tough, everybody's got to, you know, sort of take a little bit of the pain, but in fact, record profits.
Record profits. And, you know, it's sort of like, all I could think about was when you're saying this is like sharecropping, except this is a giant company store, right? And the company store is feeding itself off of both the government and the people that it's enslaving. So if you have this system that's going in this constant circle of sharecropping, they're robbing both sides. They're robbing our government, and they're robbing us, because they won't even pay the taxes that they're supposed to pay. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, we can talk about all the tax breaks they get, but let me tell you, I got a friend who works for a corporate tax person, and they are evading lots of taxes, and it's through the tax law. So when we talk about these things, we can't get away from the fact that they're not even paying into this system. They're not even paying what they should be paying.
Yeah, this is one of the things we see with Walmart is when you look down at what they do, they actually systematically in each of their locations challenge property tax assessments, right? So that even if supposedly those initial incentives have worn off, they are nonetheless keeping themselves from having to even pay the most basic.
And we have to remember that the economic pie is fixed. It doesn't get larger or smaller. There's only a certain amount of capital to go around. So every time that we deliver a tax break to a Walmart, every time we give give a land grant to a Walmart, every time we move something, some credit, some tax credit forward, what it does is it puts less money into the state and the federal coffers, and that means there's less money for food stamp programs, for health care, for education, for child care. All of these programs take cuts on the back of what has become corporate welfare, and that's something that has to be remembered, because otherwise you forget that there's a limit to how much money that you can have spending, and it's not the fault of people who are on the lower end of the spectrum that they're not making it if all the money that's supposed to be going into the government that's supposed to be used for social safety net is going for a corporate safety net.
So let me ask about the politics of this, Steve, because it seems to me like the natural sort of political ally here would be governors and mayors, right? That on the one hand you get why governors and mayors make these choices and have these incentives, but they're getting held hostage, right? Shouldn't they be in alliance with the janitors unions at this point?
You know, it's funny, they're verbally in alliance and they say the right thing, but this hostage thing is really so pressing because a company comes and says, I'm going to move if you don't give me what I want. And people are so terrified of it, and I think it speaks to why we need to build a broader movement that fundamentally challenges the power that these people have. You know, I was joking the other day, I don't know if you saw in the paper, but that Sarkozy, the former head of France, is now going to work for a private equity company. And if government is primarily an apprenticeship to becoming a millionaire when you leave. If it's like, it used to be, you know, people I know, you become a carpenter's apprentice and then you're a full-time carpenter, you can make a good job. This little gig of being governor, this is just a setup so then you can go to work.
You can sit on the corporate board.
Scott Brown just did it. Scott Brown just did this same thing. So this is the thing. You do your time, you put your favors in, and then you move up the ladder and you go into a private equity firm or something else and you make all of your cash.
We're going to take a quick break, because when we come back, Greg, we're going to talk about the disability question, and I'm going to let you read Nick Kristof. But I tell you what, also, Anthea, you know you said that sharecropper thing. You're going to have to write that up for the blog.
I will.
Because people are going to be mad that you called Walmart a sharecropper.
Well, I will. I will write it up.
When we come back.